Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Lost Angel of Havoc, aka Tato, the one and only High Priest of the congregation. Welcome back to another installment of Tato Clips, where we've got a little bit of everything. And y'all, we got another live stream from Bungie. Today, Bungie had a live stream where they're previewing and discussing Act 2 of Echoes. Now, Echoes is episode 1 of their new seasonal format that they're doing, their new seasonal content format. So Echoes is the first of 3 episodes that we're getting. And then next is Revenant, and then I believe Heretic is the third one. So Act 1, the story element of Act 1 concluded, I want to say a week ago or so. And then we've just had the last couple of weeks to kind of play catch up. The Act 2 actually goes live this coming Tuesday on the 16th of this month. I haven't seen anything. I avoid spoilers. I like to react to this stuff so I can give y'all my thoughts and feelings in real time. I'm also actively working on a review for Act 1 of Echoes and also a review of the final shape, but as its own thing. As a gamer that I get limited time to play because my 9 to 5 and other things that I do, I wanted to share my perspective as someone who plays with those limitations and how I still find ways to enjoy the content and the way I tend to look at the content because of that. But those will be coming soon. Hopefully I can get those out in the coming weeks. I cannot guarantee that I will have the Act 1 of Echoes review up before Act 2 goes live, but I'm going to do my best to get those scripted and put out, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Looking forward to it. But without any further ado, I'm sitting here yapping. Y'all came for the reaction. Without any further ado, let's get into this developer live stream previewing Echoes Act 2 of Destiny 2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good time zone to you all, and welcome to a beautifully balmy day here in beautiful Bellevue, Washington, here at Bungie HQ. Didn't realize it would be that alliterative. Welcome to our stream that's going to go ahead and showcase a little bit of what's to come in Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But very briefly, before I go ahead and kick things off, the eagle-eyed guardians among you have probably noticed a little QR code down here in this general direction. If you go ahead and give it a scan, our friends over at the Bungie Foundation are going to be running a 7th column chaos tournament, and you have a chance to get involved, help them raise some funds, and do some good. So if you go ahead and do yourself a favor, give that a scan, learn a little bit more about what they got, maybe give them a follow on Twitter while you're out there. They've got a lot of cool information that's on the way. But speaking of cool information on the way, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Today, we have the distinct opportunity to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the stuff that's going to be arriving with Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But worry not, as always, I'm joined by an all-star cast of guests here from the Bungie development team. I'll go ahead and dive right into it, starting with the individual right here to my left, the incomparable Allison Lures, narrative director here at Bungie. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you for asking. No one ever asked me back.
More people should.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For the uninitiated at home that may not have met you or are just kind of meeting you for the first time outside of the Vidoc potentially, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, my name is Allison Lures. I'm the narrative director for Destiny 2. It's my job to work with the team that creates our stories and characters. We're in charge of making you cry and feel things.
I have cried a lot in our game, so thank you.
You're welcome.
You and yours are doing some heavy lifting.
You're
Even
welcome.
my black and dead heart has gone ahead and had some feelings. So
Happy to be of service.
We appreciate it. And of course, sitting right next to Allison is the one and only Mr. Ryan Harris, Senior Activities Designer here at Bungie. Ryan, welcome.
Hey.
For the folks that also may not have met you or have probably played your activities without realizing it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here?
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Harris. I'm a senior activity designer here at Bungie, and folks may know me from Season 20 Battlegrounds, 7th Inspire. And
Okay.
Yeah, I work on the Vanguard seasonal team, making the activity content folks play day after day.
Excellent.
Nice.
I've spent a lot of time at Sabbath Inspire, so thank you for your hard work.
Welcome.
And of course, next to him, friend of the show. If you've tuned into our Into the Light streams, you've met him before a couple of times. The one and only senior design lead here at Bungie, the one and only Chris Proctor. Chris, welcome back.
Thanks, Andy. How are you today?
I am doing so good, thank you. Everything's coming up Millhouse. This is going great. For the folks that may not have had a chance to tune in to the previous streams, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie.
Yeah, folks might be familiar with my work on the weapons team. I was weapons feature lead for 4.5 years. I'm now the sandbox craft lead on Destiny, which means I help out the sandbox team with any issues they're facing and help uphold that critical sandbox quality bar.
Yeah, it's an exciting one to dive into, so thank you and yours for all of your hard work. Now, let's go ahead and get ready to go ahead and dive into some stuff about Act 2. But first things first, we've obviously been listening to the feedback of our fans, in particular the kind of weekly rollout of all the different stuff that's happened through Episode 1. With Episode 2, you guys are looking to try something a little bit different, isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, we've been listening to the fans and listening to feedback, and we agree it's time for a change. So we're going to do a trial of something new in Act 2. We're going to be dropping all 3 beats of the acts at once. So we'll be dropping all the 3 beats for Act 1 at the same time, all the 3 beats for Act 2 at the same time, all the same beats for Act 3. And the goal is to encourage players to play at their own pace, to get all of that content at once if that's what they're looking for, or to meter it out over whatever pace they want to play at. But yeah, so we're going to give it a shot in Episode 2.
Excellent. That's right. Yeah.
See how it goes over.
Yes, definitely. And that's
very
an end,
interesting.
when Episode 2, I did it too, rolls around. Make sure and let us know what you guys think. But whether you're a Netflix-style binger like myself, or you want to go to the comic book store each week to go ahead and pick up the new issue, there's going to be a chance to dive in no matter how you want to.
However you want to experience it, it's up for you. But make sure to read it. More about it is going to be in the Twid this week.
Excellent. Okay. Make sure and tune in. We'll have plenty more information on the way. Let's go ahead and take a look at also what got us here today. So we're still in Episode 1, Echoes.
Yep.
Act 1 has kind of concluded its main story beats. For those at home that may not have had a chance to play through or may have some questions about the story, would you mind catching us up to what events got us here today?
Sure. We'll do the short version. Great news. The witness is dead. We did it.
We did it.
Yay.
We did it. We did it.
And the episodes are all about the consequences of where we killed the witness and how. So when we killed the witness, all of that darkness, all of that memory, all of that energy collided with the light of the traveler. And so all of the memories that were inside of the witness, which is not necessarily exclusively the precursor beings that are inside of it, collided with the light of the traveler and made matter out of those memories. We call those echoes, and one of them launched out towards Nessus, and so we followed it to try and investigate, see what this thing is. And when we got there, we managed to reunite with Failsafe, who you left. You abandoned her.
I did no such thing.
I do feel personally.
I did no
Just so
such
you know.
thing.
Thank goodness. Thank you.
She's very
Love
happy.
Failsafe.
Yes.
We're happy to see her.
And we're happy to see her. So we've been exploring through Nessus, and initially things are pretty fun. What a fun, cool, lighthearted adventure. Nothing bad's going to happen.
Of course not.
Not at all.
Of course not.
Failsafe's around.
And the act ends with getting a little tease of like, oh wait, this isn't going to be a strictly lighthearted adventure. Saint gets kidnapped, more than kidnapped, kind of body controlled away from the rest of the group. And as he's taken away, this being called the Conductor is interrogating him and demanding to kind of understand whether or not you are real, like whether Saint is the real Saint or not. It's unnerving and kind of weird, and the vibes are only going to get darker from there.
Even better, given that Saint has a rich history with effects. I'm sure everything is just going to go nice and peachy keen.
Absolutely, nothing bad. No, of course not.
And so now that we've washed away that veneer of everything's going to go great, Act 2 now is arriving as well. Now, there's plenty of stuff for folks to dive into, but as we go ahead and kick things off here with Act 2, can you give us a little bit of a tease of what we're going to be checking out?
Yeah, what Saint heard when he was being kind of controlled really got to his head. We are going to be watching him wrestle with some questions that he's never asked himself before. And as we are trying to understand more about this Conductor that he has encountered, we are also going to be going back and revisiting one of Destiny's most storied locations very briefly.
So the lore hounds out there are going to have a chance to feast.
They're going to have a delicious time.
Excellent. Bife, you're welcome. I don't know if this will warrant
Bife,
another 10
you're
hours,
welcome.
but we'll leave that up to you.
The name drop in the live stream is crazy.
Perfect. Okay. And now that gives us the structure for what we're about to dive into, but we have now the new activity that'll be arriving as well. We're going to go ahead. We have some gameplay here to go ahead and dive into with the Echo Battlegrounds, the new 3-player activity. Ryan, do you mind kind of telling us a little bit about what we're going to be checking out here
They're
today?
doing Battlegrounds
yeah,
too?
so we'll be taking a look at one of the 3 battlegrounds that players will be engaging with this act. So the first battleground here starts in the Cistern, the Wall of Flames, on Nessus, of course. And players will be running through the Wall of Flames, checking out what's going on here as the Fallen have kind of like started hanging out and investigating the well for themselves.
Yeah.
So players really here like seeing like noticing that the radial area of this lake has been drained. A lot of the area is kind of like revamped and like regenerated itself to something new. And players will be looking at the story of like, where is this radial area going? Where is it flowing through? So for Battleground 1, you're kind of like finding out and like locating where all this radial area is going to.
Yeah.
Battleground 2, you're seeing the actual flow and direction of all the radial area to the center of Nessus. And Battleground 3, you're actually seeing like where it's being directed to. So it's really trying to tell that story about the journey to the center of Nessus.
Very exciting.
Journeys to the
So they all kind of
center
have a
of
way of
Nessus.
interconnecting with each other
I
as
love
well. Also, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Obviously, the Vex have been our primary antagonist through this, but the entrance here is being guarded by a pretty heavy contingent of Fallen. Who are these Fallen, and what are they trying to do here?
Yeah, I can give a relatively boring answer, but I believe Allison can give a much better one.
Thanks. Yeah, the Fallen are here because they're after the Echo too. We want to think of these Echoes as kind of an arms race.
Yeah.
In the absence of the Witness, there's a giant power vacuum that has formed where there's no one in charge who's going to come out and take it on top.
Yeah.
So the Fallen are here. They're chasing down the Echo as well, and they're encountering the same thing that we are, in that the Vex aren't really acting like the Vex normally do here.
Yeah.
We're seeing some Vex start to act less like a collective and more like individuals. There's one really fun lore tab where one of them waves at us.
Yeah.
So we're encountering mostly Vex, but yeah, also Fallen are here too.
It's cool to see the Vex undergo such a change. Like they've been more, I think you were saying like individualistic in kind of a weird way, which is like the one thing the Vex don't do. Yeah.
It's the one thing that they don't do,
Yeah.
which is why it's super weird that they're doing it here.
Yeah, very
And
uncomfortable.
yeah, in Act 2, we're going to be able to see a little bit more of why they're specifically doing that.
Very exciting. Awesome. Plenty to dive into, and also with these battlegrounds as well, Ryan. I know we were talking a bit before the show,
crazy.
but it seems like the main goal here was just for you guys to push yourselves, to really push the boundaries of what battlegrounds have been. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish with this new set of battlegrounds in Act 2?
Yeah, so for this set of Battlegrounds, it's definitely our latest and greatest iteration of Battlegrounds. As folks know, Battlegrounds consist of 2 encounters and a final boss encounter. So throughout the years, we kind of iterated on what a Battleground is and how closely it resembles a strike. And this set of Battlegrounds, I really wanted to push it to be like, what is a Battleground and what is a strike? I wanted to be almost one of the same. So with these Battlegrounds itself, I wanted players to, well, of course, have enough enemies on screen to slay out at all times.
Yeah.
We're definitely pushing the combatant counts in these Battlegrounds as high as possible. In some ranges of 40 enemies at a time on screen, which is quite a lot. But
Plenty for us to go ahead and check out.
plenty. But that gives enough opportunity for everyone in the fire team to use all their abilities, use Prismatic to the fullest extent, and always use their super on cooldown or Prismatic on cooldown when the opportunity arises. I want players to feel like they can just do everything, and there's not just that one player soloing the entire encounter, so everyone is contributing to that experience.
Yeah, I can imagine too, even with the the expanded
dig
sandbox that's been brought to us with the new abilities by way of Prismatic, or even the new weapons, which we'll start to check out here in just a little bit. What were some additional ways? I can imagine it probably wasn't just even more, but you guys were saying you were trying to make some more of these mobs a bit more intense to go ahead and go up against as well.
Yeah. So with telling the story of the Vex are like evolving and changing, we've I went ahead and modified an existing wyvern. I'm so sorry. So
How dare you?
You'll engage with these wyverns in pairs, and they have a special new ability where they can teleport.
Fun.
And dodge around
How
you, and
dare
also
you.
yeah, it's kind of scary.
A real
and
nothing personal kid.
Kinda
running
scary?
out behind you, right? Yeah.
They certainly are an active threat in the battlefield, and I wanted players to really be on the lookout for them.
I'm not acting like
engage
this
with them
ain't.
and
This might not be
prioritize them
a
as
potential
that
GM
priority
or something.
target.
Why would you do this?
Yeah, and that's something that's been neat. Like, obviously, players will have a chance. The first 2 of these battlegrounds obviously arrive with the first week of Act 2, with the third one hitting on the second week. But it's not even necessarily, I think, something that was really cool is you were mentioning earlier that you wanted to make these closer to a strike, or kind of blur that line. The second battleground is kind of like an all-new experience in a lot of ways. It's not just going back to a part of the planet we've been to before with new foes, but it's a brand new experience. Can you tell us what it was like kind of putting that together and sort of creating this journey to the center of Nessus?
Yeah, so we really wanted to tell a story of that journey to the center of Nessus, and that requires new geo, new art, new environment.
Yeah.
So everything after this encounter onwards is just all new geo, and layout.
Ooh,
And we really
okay.
tried our best to like carve out what that experience is, and that, as most folks know from Battlegrounds, they usually run through a patrol and like maybe a new boss space or just a new encounter space. These Battlegrounds really push the boundaries of like, hey, this is all new. This is completely new, fresh. It's kind of like a strike. It is a strike, almost.
The bosses were part of that exercise too,
Yeah.
though, I think. Like we were talking before, where it's not, just kind of taking characters that you've battled before and making them tougher, but it's a brand new encounter with new mechanics and new kind of like ways to go ahead and push further into the boss fight. That's the most broad strokes way I can describe it, but obviously, as the man who designed it, can you tell us a little bit more about creating these new boss experiences as well for players during this act?
Yeah, so one thing back to like what players know from Battlegrounds is when someone plays a Battleground, they come in groups of 3 or 4, players are like, I know what to expect from this boss encounter. It's usually the same but similar boss encounters.
Right.
But for these Battlegrounds, they're all unique bosses. They're all different. They're all challenging in their own ways, and they're just barely and just different, very different from one another. So that was the experience we're trying to hit here. Is players, when they jump into a Battleground, it's not going to be the same. It'll be different. The boss encounter will be different. We'll be trying to tell a story with the boss encounter that you're engaging with. Doling out immunity gates and engagements in that boss encounter in different ways, be it with
Oh, that was tight.
just telling a story while you're engaging the boss, or like a damage window, or just no damage immunities at all, where the player is just engaging with a boss that has the largest health pool I've placed on a boss ever.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
For
We'll
now.
see. Plenty of chances to go ahead and test out those still hunt accuracy, or each individual's accuracy with still hunt, rather, I should say. I say that because I keep a shotgun on me for a very good reason. But no, there's obviously a ton of stuff to check out in that regard, but I think I'd be remiss if we didn't also talk a bit more kind of about what we're seeing on screen in some way. Is Chris, we've got some new weapons that are going to be arriving with this act as well. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of maybe even this one we're seeing here on screen? This is one of the new ones as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Aberrant Action Solar Rocket Assisted
Oh, that's what that
Frame
is.
Sidearm.
Or rocket sidearms. You love
Yep.
to hear it.
Yeah, the first solar rocket sidearm.
It's
and
a solar
a banger.
rocket side?
Yeah.
The role that we're showing here is heel clip incandescent.
Kill
which is
clip
probably-
incandescent.
It synergizes super
You
well
don't
with solar
say.
sunglasses.
Yeah, here we
It's
go.
definitely the one that does that. The best.
Oh, heel clip incandescent.
Just to say it, the art for this
All
one
right.
is awesome. Like the weapons art team
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park. This one in particular has some nice touches when you aim down sights with it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
a
that's tight.
Cool little animation there. It's pretty neat.
It's going to be addictive, honestly. Got a very Vex Mythoclast feel to it, honestly.
There are some other like interesting combos on this as well. So I'm particularly fond of Pugilist and Demolitionist.
Yeah.
As you get kills so fast with these rocket sidearms that regenerating your ability energy as you're doing that keeps you armed to the teeth at all times.
Yeah, never hurts. In addition to that, we've also got a new arc heavy burst pulse rifle, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Corasian Arc Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle,
Yeah.
another one in this seasonal set.
Damn.
And yeah, this is we introduced this subfamily with Final Shape, and this
Yeah.
is the third one of these. The role that we've got here, High Impact Reserve is left column, also always very good, and Volt Shot right column.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong. I would also look at getting Frenzy right column. Because High Impact Reserves is great, but doesn't give you any stats. So having Frenzy gives you a bit of damage and those stats as well, and
Yeah.
very high uptime. Really great.
Yeah, I can imagine too in the era where pulse rifles are living through their anti-barrier era as well. It's probably not too bad to have one with that many stacked perks on it. Frankly,
Yeah.
Like, I can see Volt Shot doing a lot of untold damage just behind enemy lines pretty rapidly with that guy.
It's pretty juiced in PvP as well. Definitely
Yeah.
one to pick up.
Ooh, good point. Yeah. Headseeker fans rejoice. Potentially. And then in addition to that, an old favorite is going to be making its return. Saints tried and
Yes.
true favorite shotgun. Perfect Paradox is coming back as well from Season to Dawn.
Yeah, Perfect Paradox is back, along with a bunch of other Dawn weapons. This is the one we're dropping in this act. And yeah, all of the perks that you know and love from the original,
Yeah.
plus a bunch of new ones, plus the new Origin trait, Cast No Shadows, which if you're doing a melee build, just synergizes really nicely with it. So, Threat Detector left column, and then Trench Barrel if you're just doing damage with weapon,
Yep.
or 1-2 punch if you're doing a melee build.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. and fits in really well with the rest of
I
Saints' arsenal.
need
Yeah,
that.
we combination blow hunters are about to have a very good time. I can already tell, honestly, as if we weren't already. No, it's been great. So with some new additions to the weapon sandbox, there's also some new, a new row, pardon me, of perks unlocking on the seasonal artifact as well. Isn't that right?
Right, yeah. So
A
each
new
act
row?
we're adding a new row. So this is 5 new artifact mods. And with these, we're really leaning into sniper rifles and solar damage.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
tight.
We'll bring this up in a
A new
second.
row?
Oh, yeah. So the fire team here obviously is a little bit of their hands full, and also everyone in chat, please give a shout out to Peyton, Mitch, and Justin here, who are doing the proverbial heavy lifting, carrying us through this activity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So anti-barrier sniper is coming back. Personal favorite. Love this. This artifact mod.
There's been a lot of
Very
buzz
fun.
about that. I think when everyone saw it
Cool.
on the new seasonal artifact.
Yep, it makes it really easy to deal with barrier champions, and like you can also go through phalanx shields, all sorts of shields. So
Yeah.
it's very, very.
I always
high
feel bad for the
utility.
Hive Knights that set up so defiant with their shield, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is not going to go well for you.
Yeah, and then scavenger mods, so you can keep those special ammo sniper rifles fed.
Yep.
Moving on, incendiary rifle rounds. Yeah, so if you've got a solar sniper rifle, and I can think of a couple, we've seen Whisper of the Worm here, but there's also Still Hunt.
Yeah.
This
Precision
really
hit
juices
Scorch?
those. You're scorching targets with this artifact mod, and then if we move on to the next one, once you build up enough scorch stacks and you have that ignition, it will do increased damage in a higher radius. Super, super strong. And not only that, but we're adding this other artifact mod for sniper rifles, which increases damage with every precision hit. So if you're landing like crit after crit on a boss with Whisper or Still Hunt or your favorite legendary solar sniper rifle, you're going to be, the damage output is going to be real.
Let's just say, Whisper of the Worm mains are just going to be feasting.
Yeah, y'all basically
Your next
built
excision run is about to be
y'all
just a
basically
symphony
built
of
a
Whispers of the
whole-
Worm, honestly.
a whole row
Which is
of
not a bad way to
artifact
spend some
mods
time.
for Whisper.
Also, this is as I was looking through kind of the additional buffs that were going to be added. So with the arrival of Act 2, obviously Solstice will be a part of that. We'll touch on that a little bit later here in the stream.
Please tell me y'all doing
But with the
something
arrival of
with that
Solstice,
shit.
you guys are also working on a new balance update as well.
Yeah.
Covers weapons, covers armor, covers abilities. I'm going to go ahead and kick off with perhaps an update that's very near and dear to my heart. As a Dead Man's Tale main, the Tex Scout rifles are getting a pretty solid PvE buff across the board. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we've seen that the legendary and exotic aggressive scout rifles have been lagging a bit behind in damage output in PvE. So we're bumping that by 30%, which puts them like just ahead of the current
we got
leaders.
another Battlegrounds preview.
Scout rifle damage output.
Yeah.
They're a ton of fun. Like they hit really hard.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Not only because I just like hip firing guys from across the map, but I gotta tell you, I'm looking for any excuse I can to keep dusting off Dead Man's Tale.
Yeah.
Fighting Lion has taken its place
I
recently.
need to
but
blow the
just as a
dust off
temporary.
mine.
It's okay.
Shit.
Also,
have a fun seasonal aggressive scout rifle, which you should keep an eye out for.
yes, that's right. Yeah, I haven't spent as much time with that as I ought to, honestly. I've been mostly hanging out with Lost Signal, speaking of Fighting Lion. But this isn't time for Andy to share his loadouts necessarily.
That's
addition-
another live stream.
That's another live stream. That's right. Yeah, that's just me tweeting into the void and being like, "Fighting Lion." The Fighting Lion subreddit is probably very happy right now. So shout out to all of them. In addition to that, an old favorite of mine as well. Speaking of some of the classics, Ariana's Vow is going to be getting a pretty sizable buff against barrier shields as well.
Yeah, so we've had a bunch of changes to exotic weapons and how they interact with barrier champions. And Ariana's Vow fell a bit behind, so we've bumped its damage substantially at 67%.
Nice.
This means that in most difficulties it will break barrier champion shields in 2 shots,
Ooh.
Yeah.
which makes its ammo economy like much more valuable.
Right.
And it had a pretty big rework recently, and this just makes it that much stronger.
Yeah. Always a good time to go ahead and have that sitting on your hip, honestly. We've got some other weapon buffs. Any in particular that you wanted to speak to while we were here? Obviously, all this will arrive on bungie.net later, but as long as we got you here, I'd love to hear if you got any more on your mind that you'd love to speak to.
Yeah, with the sniper rifle focus in this act, we really wanted to improve their ease of use a bit more in PvE. One of the biggest problems is when you're like trying to land crits on the witness or something and you're taking a bunch of damage,
Right.
you're getting flinched off target a lot. So we've gone in and halved the flinch from PvE.
Ooh,
weapons.
okay.
So that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I'm also
Sniping's back on the
a little
menu,
bit of
boys.
foreshadowing, but we've gone in and removed the penalties from adept mods, and this is sort of setting the stage for a larger set of mods that will be dropping in a future release. Not too far out.
Yeah. the proverbial stay tuned for everyone out there as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, and also we were talking a bit before the show too, but there's going to be some armor tuning as well, isn't there as well to like the mods, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do a lot of raiding, you're probably familiar with the reserves mod swapping shenanigans that you can do, and this is just sort of fiddly and annoying for players. We don't think it's a balance issue, but it is irritating. We didn't want players to have to do it. So now when you switch your reserves mods back off, it'll bring your total reserves back down to their current cap. And to balance that out, we've increased reserves for special and heavy weapons across the board. It varies per weapon type, but it's in the 10 to 15% range.
Nice. Okay.
And in addition to that, if you do like running reserves mods permanently, we've reduced their cost by 1. You'll note that with some of the discounted mods from the artifact, like already reduced that to 1, so this would bring it down to 0.
Oh, really?
It's a pretty big change.
Very nice. All right. So build crafters, you've all been made aware. Now's a chance to start tweaking those variables in your spreadsheets across the board. Very exciting. Okay, a lot of stuff to dive into still yet, but we've also got a brief, quick preview of some stuff that's going to be arriving with Solstice. Now, I know our fire team is here hard at work in the background, but very briefly, I wanted to make sure that as a part of this show, we took a look at the armor sets that are going to be arriving with Solstice. So, as a reminder, Solstice is going to be hitting here with Act 2. Should be a pretty good time for you guys to dive into. We'll have more information soon, but you can take a look here and see kind of the, I don't know, old-timey pilot race car driver. Maybe I'm just channeling my old inner race car driver here.
Yeah, I can really
kinda
see
dig
the
it.
adventurer influence in this, that idea of an explorer who's
Yeah.
going and delving into different places.
Yeah,
Also the pants.
I was going to say, with boots like this, you're
Consider the pants.
Yeah, seriously. Like the first time as a hunter, I'm jealous of Warlocks. Congratulations, Warlocks, you did it. Let's see. Up next, we've also got our friendly neighborhood Titan, I believe, with perhaps one of the coolest helmets I have ever seen.
That is a
available
cool
to them.
helmet.
Once again, as a hunter, it's a very alien feeling, being jealous of
Oh,
Titans.
none of
but
that.
this is
We're
one
not
time we'll
jealous,
go ahead
baby.
and some of that feeling,
We're
I
not
would say.
jealous, baby.
Titans out there, make sure you go ahead and start getting your transmogs ready. But this is one I can't
Go
wait
ahead,
to
put
see
the hunter
start
on
around
screen.
The tower.
Save the best for last
It's
anyway.
pretty solid. And then,
Look at that.
last but very not least, my fellow hunters, we
saucy.
also are going to be able to go ahead and feast. We've
Look at
got
that.
another set of ornaments coming our way. Again, really channeling kind of that adventurer style that they're really going for to theme for this solstice in particular. And plus with an expanded sandbox of all the goodies that you folks have been working on to go ahead and have us go ahead and tear through it with. We are very appreciative of it, but yeah, just kind of a quick look at what's to arrive with Solstice. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the main set of topics for today. We're going to go ahead and scan Twitch chat very briefly to make sure we can go ahead and grab any questions. But Ryan, honestly, we're now into, is this the second battleground?
Yeah, we're in the second battleground on the second encounter right now.
Yeah.
So what we didn't see previously was players were, when they finish the first battleground, the second battleground actually starts where the first battleground ends to
Yeah.
continue on your journey into the center of Nessus.
Yeah.
And that's the same for when you end battleground 2. That's where you start for battleground
really
3.
cool,
Very
actually.
exciting. That's kind of cool, actually, having that, again, that journey to the center of Nessus. Sort of in that same vein, actually, one thing I've also kind of been wanting to ask selfishly is a wise narrative director once said that stories are told in 3 acts. Could you tell us a little bit about what this episodic structure offers you guys? Like, what are you able to try that's different?
So humans like stories that have shapes, right?
Right.
When we think of a story where you're kind of like in the same place, like doing the same thing, like sometimes we want to make sure that our stories feel like they have shape and momentum to them. For example, with episode 1, we can think of the shape of it kind of as starting in this place of really like lighthearted. It's a fun romp, it's a fun adventure, and
Yeah.
it slowly goes down
Yeah.
into a really dark place.
As all the doom happens in the background, we're having
Exactly.
fun with Failsafe.
We get to play with that play with those shapes and
Yeah.
play with that structure with each of our episodes. So in episode 2, in episode 3, it may start at different places and the energy may take you in different ways.
Yeah.
We got to really experiment and play around with what are we introducing narratively, which enables us to add things like a focus on Fate 14 for Act 2, or different ways that the battlefields may change as we're going through.
Yeah.
Humans like stories that have shape to them, and that's what a really well-defined act structure allows us to do.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, honestly, as we've just getting
Yeah.
started here in Echoes and with episode 2 on the way, but we'll talk more about that at a later date, worry not. We've got plenty to dive into with Act 2 right in front of us. But as far as my agenda goes, I think actually we've thankfully hit kind of the primary bulk of the show.
Could I touch briefly on the ability stuff that's coming?
Please, yeah, thank you for this. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been monitoring feedback in PvP around prismatic hunters, and particularly the 2 pain points around swarm grenades and threaded spectre. So we're bringing both of those down into line.
Yeah.
We've also got a couple of PvE changes coming, and this is Titan stuff. It's sort of previewing some Titan changes that are going to come in a future release.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're bumping up the damage of the supers, Twilight Arsenal, and Hammer of Soul.
Oh,
So
cool.
those should both be a lot more competitive.
That's right, yeah. Hammer of Soul Titans rejoice. Also, I selfishly like grabbing that axe from Twilight Arsenal, so if those could keep existing, I'd be a very happy camper.
Yeah.
Also,
It
we got
is
a question
fun.
from chat. Freeboop asks, probably one for you, Chris. Are you guys still evaluating the interactions of the combo on Edge Transit, or will you swap from Envious Assassin to Cascade Point and a 24 magazine while you still have Cascade Point?
Yeah, so we mentioned a few weeks back that we're going to be adjusting that. It ended up needing a code change, which is typically a little bit slower to roll out, but that fix is still coming. So
Very exciting.
if you missed out on getting that perk combination, that is not going to be an exploit that continues to work.
Excellent. Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Freeboop, for the question. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think thankfully that as we watch our steadfast group of Guardians go ahead and continue their way here through the Battlegrounds, I think that's kind of the high and low of our show, everyone. Of course, we wanted to go ahead and make sure as we dive into the events of Act 2, as we go to prepare to conclude Act 1, we wanted to make sure that all of you had a sense of what was coming. And again, a reminder, this launches next week on July 16th. Quick reminder of the topics we covered. Of course, we're going to go ahead and remind you that the Bungie Foundation folks are doing some amazing work. Go ahead and scan that QR code and check out what they're up to. Otherwise, Act 2 arrives next week. With it, you'll have these 3 new Battlegrounds, 2 launching with the first week, the 3rd arriving on the 2nd week, new weapons joining the sandbox, new artifact mods for you to go ahead and unlock, and of course, Solstice will be joining us later on into the act. But otherwise, before we go, I of course want to make sure that we take a chance to go ahead and thank our amazing cast here. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about what's to come.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
I appreciate the time. To our
Gotta
amazing
give a
team
round
of
of
playtesters
applause
in the
to the-
background.
round of
Mitch,
applause to the
Justin,
dev
Peyton,
team, straight up.
thank you very much for doing the proverbial heavy lifting. To the amazing team here, producers in-house, that go ahead and put this all on, thank you all so much. Honestly, we always appreciate it. And last, but of course not least, to all you Guardians out there, thanks for taking the time to join us today. We'll see you all very soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
All right. So, okay. So, there's a lot of good information. I mean, not too terribly much. So we're getting 3 Battlegrounds with Act 2. I hope Breach Executable stays around because I actually really like Breach Executable as an activity. But I enjoy Battlegrounds too, and I like that it's not going to be the same formula where it's just going to be like 3 different places that we've already been, and they're kind of like slightly tweaked a little bit for the Battlegrounds activity, but you know, it's a location that we've been to 1,000 times. You know, I like that they're actually building upon an existing location and giving us areas of this location that we've never been before. That's cool. I think that's actually forward thinking on their part, in terms of like you never know how much like the exploratory aspect of these things can mean to players, you know. But when you take something like Destiny that has the scope that it has, you know, we're talking about something, you know, Destiny 2 itself, by itself, is 7 years of game, you know what I mean? And Nessus is a location that has been around since Destiny 2 launched. So it's nice to actually see Nessus get this kind of, not necessarily glow up, but this kind of revamp and this rework that's important and pivotal to the story. It's growth, it's change, it's transformation. You know, it shows that like it's not just sitting there in frozen in this, you know, this year Destiny 2 year 1 place. You know, it's nice, and I love Failsafe. Failsafe was one of my favorite characters. Every interaction with Failsafe is a gift. So I love that we're getting a new rocket sidearm. Love rocket sidearms. Those are a great weapon archetype to add, and I'm forever thankful that we have those. And it'll be nice to see what they do with them going forward. I personally would love to see them all have, we have the Void iteration and Buried Bloodline. We also have the Strand iteration and the Call, and we have the Arc iteration in Indebted Kindness. I would love to see them lean into the subclass specific perks a little bit more with them. But all in all, I'm excited I'm excited for more Destiny stuff. Destiny, of course, y'all know, if you've been here with the channel, this is my main game. This is my game I keep coming back to. I got it bad, but it's also something that continuously brings me joy. I enjoy being able to play at my own pace, and I've actually kind of enjoyed Echoes as a whole, like being able to go on and get my little bit of story and stuff and pop out. The activity is fun, and honestly, I'm willing to admit that life has not allowed me to really sit down and dedicate time to the Final Shape or Echoes as I've done in previous seasons before I did content creation, and just IRL stuff is tricky right now because I just have a lot on my plate. I don't get as much time to actually play, so the time I spend on Destiny is valuable to me because it is one of those things that does allow me to escape from the worldly woes, I guess, as you would have them. It's a pleasurable escape. I love the loot chase. I love the story. The Final Shape was great. Echoes is cool, and I like the concept behind Echoes of this kind of metaphysical matter colliding with the creative power of the light. This metaphysical darkness and creative light coming together to create these echoes of things. And I'm interested to see if the theories are true about the conductor. I know there's some theories going around as far as who the conductor could be. Some Maya Sundareshing, maybe Maya Sundaresh. But I guess we will see. I'm interested to see what the battlegrounds look like. Can't wait to get my hands on the new weapons. I'm glad to have Perfect Paradox back in my arsenal. That was definitely hands down one of my favorite shotties. Smug just made me get rid of mine. And you know what? I can't even be mad at bro because we're getting all of these weapons back with updates and updated perk pools and the origin traits. So blessing in disguise, I guess. Smug, I still think you owe me an apology for some of this shit. But that was the developer live stream for episode Echoes Act 2, a preview of sorts. And also, I will share my thoughts about this, I guess, as a wrap up. I've long pondered what it would be like if Bungie did what I consider to be the great experiment. And maybe I'll expand on this in another video. Maybe I'll expand on this in my Echoes review. But I'll touch on it briefly here since they mentioned it. I've long wondered what it would be like if they, for a season, for a campaign, DLC, whatever. I've long wondered what if they went back and released everything all at once. I wondered what the reception would be. Because as much as I enjoy playing at my own pace, I do believe that things being somewhat time gated allows me time to not necessarily have to rush through things. Just because you tend to have the issue of if it's all available, then you kind of have spoilers on top of just once you burn through it, it's gone. So then you kind of do you wait and you savor it, or do you burn right through it? And I think there's a lot of players that have the time on their hands to just burn through everything. And, that's a quick way to burn out. But I also understand that the formula that we've had for a large portion of at least the last 6 years, because seasons kind of came about with the introduction of Forsaken, the seasonal model that we kind of saw refined over the last couple of years. So it will be interesting when Revenant comes about, what that episode will be like with them dropping everything all at once. We shall see. I don't know if they're going to drop the entire thing at once or act by act. Each beat will drop. They made a tweet about it, so but they'll probably have more information in the tweet this week. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. This is where I leave you. Thank you for just coming and watching with me. If you hadn't watched and everything, I know editing out certain portions of my reactions because I had some interruptions and some difficulties with watching. Things weren't buffering properly, so thank you for bearing with me through those moments. And this was cool. This is big shout out to Bungie. Big shout out to the development team at Bungie. Y'all killing it right now. Y'all are killing it on the development front. But this response to feedback, the immediacy of it, and the intention, the intention of it all, brilliant. Like this is some of the most responsive attention that I think we've seen ever across Destiny 2. I say Destiny 2 because I came into Destiny 1 at the tail end of it, and only really got like the full Destiny experience once coming over to Destiny 2 as far as like the community side of it. But yeah, so y'all are killing it, and I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you guys put in each and every day on the development front, because I know that it is not easy. I have friends that work in game dev or are at least familiar with some of the processes that go into it. And I've had the pleasure of speaking with them about it, asking them questions, just, so I can get some clarity on a few things. And it's learning about what goes on under the hood has allotted me a lot of patience as a player and as a consumer. I've spoken on my views on how things get run as a business at Bungie, and I get it, but I don't necessarily agree with certain things that leadership does. But you just can't take away from the hard work that these developers put in on this project, and I'm glad that they were able to do what they were able to do with the final shape and echoes. And you can really tell everything has been a love letter to the game, to the players, community, everything. So thank you. Not to get super sentimental, this video is already crazy long, but anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for watching Late Tato Clips. My name is Lost Angel of Havoc, and we will see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.